Hey guys, so hope you are doing well. So in the previous video, I'll show you how to set up the network-based configuration of your server, and in this video, I'd like to show you how to create a repository from scratch, as it is one of the things which I do right after I finish to configure network part. So in this video, I'll show you how to set that using the ISO file, and I'll go through all the process here. You can see how you can create the repository using the ISO file. As on the RHCSA exam, there is no internet on the server which they will provide to you. So you will have to find some way to be able to install packages. So you might be asked to set up a HTTP server, and as you will not have access to internet on that server, you will not be able to install HTTP. So in that case, you must set up a repository which can be performed using the ISO file, which contains the installation file of a Red Hat server. So in my case, like in the previous video, I show you that we will be able to reach all my VMs from my host machine. So I'll try to ping server a.local.dev. As you can see, actually I'm able to reach the server A. I will try with server b.local.dev, and I will try also with server C repository server. So I'll try ping repo.local.dev. So as you can see, from my main computer or my host computer, I can reach all my VMs. So what I'll do now, it will be to connect with SSH to that server, to the repo, and student server a.local.dev. So actually, in this video, I will only show you how to set up the repo using the ISO file. In another video, I'll show you how to configure the repo using a HTTP based repo. So we will first install a HTTP server, and after that we'll set all the files needed to have a HTTP based repo. So I'll connect password. So actually, if I try to list repository I configure DNF repo list, as you can see, I'm not logging as root. I'll go and change and connect as root user. Now I'm root user. I can now call DNF repo list. As you can see, there is not any repository from now. So what I will do, I will mount the ISO file and set up that ISO file as a repository. So I'll go in VirtualBox and attach the ISO file to that server. Is the first one. Actually, as you can see, I'm not setting that on the repo server. I'll just configure that on the server A. As you can see, you can perform it on any server, depend of your need. So in this case, I will install it only on the server A, and after that, when it comes to install the HTTP based repo, we'll do that on the repo server. So I'll go in settings, and I will mount the ISO file of Red Hat 9.2 and press OK. So if I go here and type lsblk, so this one lists all block devices. Actually, you can see there is a SR block device which refer to the ISO file which I just mounted. And when I want to mount that file, I can use the command mount dev SR0, and I'll specify the path where I want to mount. In my case, I will mount it at at the root repo folder. So I'll clear this one and I will show you. At the root path, there's not a repo file, repo directory. So I'll create that mkd repo, and now I can mount that ISO file. Mount dev sr0 repo, and as it's an ISO file, I must specify the type. No, actually it's just a disk and not a ISO file. Other mounter on repo. So now it mounts. If I call df-h, you will see this repository the folder is already mounted, and if I list the content of the repo directory, you will see there is whole file which are on the ISO file. And now what I will do after this is I don't like to use the mounted disk as a repo sources. So what I do, I usually copy the content of that disk and create a local file name like RHEL9.iso. So that's what I will do. So I'll go and unmount that dev sr0. So if I call df-h, you will see it's not there, and I will call that command to perform the code df if equal dev sr0. So if means input file, and of is the output file, is where we want that file to be stored. In my case, I will put it in the root home directory, and I will name it rel9.0.iso. And for each byte of copy width I want to copy, I will set it at 1 megabyte, 1 M, like this. If I don't put that value, it will be 1 kilobyte, I think, and that will take a lot of time. So when I set it to 1 megabyte, so it will be a little bit faster and want to take a lot of time. So let's press enter. So we just wait for a few minutes before the copy of the ISO file mounted completed. As you can see, the copy of that file is completed. It's almost 9.6 GB. And now, as I've that file on in the root directory, as you can see here, you can see here that file. So I'll use that file to specify the source of my packages. So now I'll go and mount that ISO file in the repo folder which we created previously. So I'll go in the FS tab. So I have two ways that I can mount that file. Actually, I can mount it directly using just a command mount like this: mount repo mount root rel9.iso, and I'll mount it inside the repo. And the one important argument that I like to put to this command is the type. So the type specifies the type of file system which you want to mount it. And in this case, when you are mounting the ISO file, it must be in ISO 9660 like this. And as you will see, if I call again df-h, you will see the repo folder is mounted. That this one, once I reboot my computer, this will disappear. So what I like to do is to use the fstab file, and in that file I will configure all my mount points. So what I will do, I will unmount that repo df-h. you will see there is not the repo mount, and I'll go and edit the etc fstab to make it persistent. And the source which I want to mount to be root RHEL9.iso, and the path where I want to mount is -repo, is no /repo, and the file system to be ISO 9660, and for the setting I'll leave default and here to be 00. Now, so before anytime I modify the fstab file, I like to check if everything is okay inside that file, and to do that I usually call the command find mount -- verify, which perform a check of that file. If everything is good, it will show you, but this one actually is not, it's just a simple warning. It won't pose any problem. So we'll consider that this, when we have this one, is completely normal. And after I get this response, there is no error, it's 0. That means everything is okay. I can now mount using mount-a. This will mount everything which is inside of the etc file, etc fstab file. So perform that, and as you can see, mount -repo warning, source write protected, mounted read only. So that means our mount point is mounted, and if I call -df-h, you can see the repo folder is already there. That means we have now the path where there is all our source file. If I use -h repo, you can see there is all the content of the ISO file. And after I do that, the second thing which I will do after that is to create now a repo file. So all repo file for using the best practice must be in the etc yum.repo directory. So you must put them inside of this path, this directory. So whenever you get it, you will know there is a directory there, and now there is only one file. So I'll create my repository. So instead of writing manually, if I want to create the repo file for the ISO which I mount, I have two ways to set up that file. I can create it manually. That will be a little studios, and it will require to remember every key which must be in that file. And the second option is to use the command dnf to set that files, and that I think is the easy way to make that configuration, and that's what I usually do. So to do that, I will do dnf config -manager --add repo equal, and after that I'll specify the path where there is my packages. It will be /repo, and inside of that, when you have that ISO file, there is two directory. There is base ISO, base OS directory. I will show you repo. So there is base ISO and upstream. These files are source of packages, and what I will do in my case, I'll call dnf conf manager config manager -add repo equal -repo base OS. I'll add that, and I'll use also upstream And as you can see, we have this message which says adding repo from file upstream. That means we have now the file for the repo added in that folder. I will now want to show you that the content of that file, ls-l etc yum.repo. As you can see, it has two files, one file for the upstream and another file for the base OS directory, and I will show the content of that. Repo base os.repo. As you can see, the content is this one. You can actually, this is the name of the directory, and this is the description which you get when you call DNF repo list. As you can see, we can customize that message. So to customize that, ov etc yum.repo repo base os, and I'll edit this one ISO file base os packages, and I'll change this one. I'll add it as base os, save it, and I'll go and edit the second file, repo upstream. It will be upstream, and here it will be ISO upstream ISO file upstream packages, and I'll save that. If I call again DNF repo list, you will see the detail change from the previous which we have. And now after that, I can now try to search for any packages. Now in my case, I will search for httpd, DNF search httpd. As you can see, I am getting some result from the server, which means I can now try to install that package. Now DNF install httpd. So one thing we notice, this one failed. So this error came from the fact that by default GPG check is enabled, and that is enabled from the main file, which is cat etc yum.conf. As you can see, GPG check is enabled. So what I will do, I will edit that. So as you can see, if I call dash, you can see the content changes. As you can see, I'm using this shortcut. So this one means I'm taking the last parameter of the previous command. So when I want to call the last parameter which I passed to the previous command, I can press just exclamation mark and $sign. So here I can use ls-l. You will see it lists that it's called this command. So this one take just the last parameter to the previous command. And now if I try now to install httpd, DNF install httpd, you will see now I'm able to install that packages. So that's what I want to show you in this practice, this tutorial practice. So as you can see, you have all the process to create a local repository using a ISO file. So it can be any type of file. Maybe you can have some file which are just contains packages, and you can use that to create as a source of packages. And in the next video, I will show you how to create a repository based on the HTTP server. So we'll first create a HTTP server, and on that HTTP server, we will serve the content of that ISO file so we can access remotely that repository and be able to install any packages on that. So if you want to be notified and to see more content like this, you can just subscribe.